We have some new information about the family separation crisis at the border. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary, there are still nearly 3,000 children currently housed by his agency who were separated from their families along the U.S.-Mexico border, but an official number has yet to be released. And now a CBS News investigation has found that there may be a loophole. It's actually built into the federal policy that allows two facilities housing unaccompanied migrants to avoid surprise child welfare inspections. More than 100 shelters for unaccompanied migrants must follow mandatory regulations and are also the subject of surprise inspections. The controversial tent city located in Tornillo, Texas, has been discovered as a facility that is allowed to escape investigations, while another massive facility for minors in Homestead, Florida, will be able to avoid the same exact inspections. Well, this raises new questions about the safety of these minors and if facilities are being properly operated. Graham Cates is a CBS News investigative reporter and joins me now. So you were on the media conference call with HHS today. What did they say? What was their takeaway on this?
What Alex Azar, the secretary, said is under 3,000 children are identified as being separated from their parents. And he was very clear to say this could mean literally separated at the border, like we've been hearing about, or if the child says that they were separated on the journey to the U.S. And he said that right now they don't have the capacity to give us that exact number about at the border.
So, Graham, the fact that they are able to, there's this loophole that doesn't allow them to be inspected. What is this loophole?
These two facilities are on federal land, and every other facility for unaccompanied minors is on state land, and therefore inspected by state officials. And they're mandated to apply to be subject to state regulations. And so inspectors come and they look at thousands of standards to make sure that kids are kept healthy and safe.
So your sense is just that they're saying, look, we have enough standards in place, we don't need surprise inspections.
That's basically what they said to me. They said, here is a link to our policy manual. It's thousands of pages long. You can see there's lots of regulations for how children have to be kept. And that's essentially good enough. Now you know that we have rules for keeping them safe. But they weren't able to say, now here are the people who make sure that all of these rules are followed and who subject it to surprise inspections. That's kind of the big thing, the surprise.
But aren't there things that you can find from surprise inspections that you might not be able to detect with just regular inspections?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows when you know your boss is coming or someone is coming to assess you, you put the best foot forward. Yeah. And you can see when you look up even a really good child care center, you see that the surprise inspections will uncover kind of surprising things. We looked at a case where a child had tested positive for an STD at an unaccompanied minor facility and waited 18 days for treatment. And that was that one that,
days?
And they celebrated that they had only 1% of the standards they were tested for were actually in violation of the standards. But that's a big violation.
That's a huge violation. And you spoke with actually the spokesperson for the Texas Department of, is it Family and Protective Services, I believe. What did they say about their standards and inspections?
He said it's really rigorous. He said when an inspector comes, of course it's unannounced, and he said while they have thousands to look at, they might, because of previous inspections, be focusing on several hundred. Maybe it's ones where there were previously problems that could be record keeping or security. Was there a hole in a fence and a 3-year-old could have walked out, that kind of thing. They're looking to make sure that the kids are being kept and safe and healthy.
So there's a nonprofit, it's called BCFC, and they're actually managing the Tornillo facility, and they've acknowledged that it isn't subjected to these frequent checkups. So have they responded to these questions that are being raised?
Yeah, it's BCFS, and they were pretty straightforward. They said, we're not a licensed child care agency. We're here for emergency management, and this tent city in Tornillo, or so it's called, is basically an influx center in an emergency. But what's really fascinating about that is most state agencies, when there's a new child care center, actually subject it to more inspections, not less. They want to make sure that the place gets its act together in those first couple of years. And in this case, they're saying it's temporary and may not be around for long, so we don't get any inspections.
So how many of these facilities are actually, Tornillo, you see Homestead, they're the last sort of temporary facilities on federal land. Do you know if there are plans to sort of create these new jurisdictions to cover these operations? Do we have a sense of that?
It seems pretty likely. HHS has toured at least 4 military bases, and they're looking for beds for up to 20,000 unaccompanied children. And it's
20,000?
Also up to 20,000. And so that seems a little more than temporary, I would say. And even these facilities, there's no set end date for these ones. the Texas one could close on July 13th. It could also stay open indefinitely.
So covering this, do you get the sense, Graham, that these separations, just based on how they're planning, are not going to be ending anytime soon, that these are going to continue? Do we have a sense of where this is headed?
There was a court order saying that HHS has to reunite the children it currently has,
right.
that it's separated from parents, and it gave till July 10th for children under the age of 5 and July 26th for all the other children. And Azar said today that he believes they're going to meet that deadline.
Believes?
Yeah.
Okay. Graham Cates, grateful you could join us with your reporting. Thank you for this.
Thank you.